Welcome to Red Sox Digest, the only show where pain, sarcasm, and a dash of hope collide nightly like a Trevor Story strikeout. We cover every loss, every meltdown, and yes, even the rare win, with brutally honest takes and zero front office fluff. Subscribe today at RedSoxDigest.com or risk being left out in the cold like a home game in April. And now, here's the crew at Red Sox Digest.
Good evening and welcome to another edition of Red Sox Digest. I am your host, Jim Dalfino. I am joined today by Nick Face and out of Texas, Curry Mitchell. Gentlemen, how are you tonight?
Can I introduce anybody to our lovely friend right here called Pepto-Bismol, the preferred treatment of your Boston Red Sox? I have a whole box here for all of our Fenway faithful who decided to sit through that disaster of a game yet again. Get your ass out of that stadium and show this team that is an unacceptable product. If I was a vendor, I would be going around to every single one of these fans, giving them the box and saying, don't come back until ownership does something about this team.
Curry, how are you?
I'm doing well. That was actually pretty funny, Nick. And 100% I need some, so I need you to ship it to me down here in Texas.
Happily. We all need it. We need some sort of syndrome to get us through this.
So the
the
Red Sox managed to drop game number 6 in a row. So at least they have some sort of streak going on as they arrive home for a wonderful homecoming against the Toronto Blue Jays, in which, lo and behold, the offense completely abandons us once again. Nick, I want to start with you. Your reaction to the loss, which we assumed was going to happen, and what is your take on this?
I'm going to use the word scapegoat. Isn't it crazy that ever since Devers has left, this team has tailspun out of control into worse than we've ever expected? I mean, I know Devers, when he was here, they were still losing and everything like that. That's what I'm trying to say here. But the biggest thing here is that really the Devers issue was the scapegoat of just how horrid and abysmal this entire team is, top to bottom.
Curry, your reaction?
Well, luckily for me, I was driving home at the time of the game, so I didn't have to actually watch that disaster, but I did listen to it. Man, this team is completely falling apart. Like I said earlier in our little chat, dude, that 5-game win streak is so long ago now. It's crazy to me that we got so hot and then we trade Devers, which I didn't like the trade, but I get it. It was two sides that couldn't get along, and it was going to cause more problems in the end. But I think, Jim, you've said it best. Should have waited. They really should have waited until the end of the deadline to do something. But after that trade, this team is completely falling apart. They can't get bat to ball. They can't do the basic running the bases right. It's, error after error. Cora, he keeps doing stupid manager stuff, and it's getting frustrating. I told you I was going to be the most optimistic member of this group, and it's very hard to be optimistic right now, especially after losing 6 in a row.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to be optimistic when someone's got, paper clips wedged up your toenails. So, I mean, it's like, it just, this team has been a complete debacle, a complete train wreck. And every time they start to do something right, they Red Sox themselves again and completely destroy all the goodwill and good faith that they've built up. They had a great little run, I think a 5-game win streak, to your point, Curry, when we were facing the Yankees. And then out of nowhere, we got sucker punched with the Devers trade. They are now 3-7 since the Devers trade. So, Craig Breslow, if you are ever listening to our podcast, that statement that you made about you think we're going to win more games with him gone, I don't think.
A joke.
I don't know if there's a Red Sox fan. I don't know if there's a 2-year-old in this country that would believe you, because that was the most obscene thing that I've ever heard anybody say in the 40 some odd years I've been watching Red Sox baseball. So kudos to you for making up the most obscene thing that I have ever heard in my entire life. Pitching-wise, Go ahead, Nick.
I was going to say, I believe Breslow did some sort of an interview. I don't know if I think it was on EEI today. And he was saying he was doubling down yet again with, well, don't judge us now. We're definitely going to be buyers. We are definitely going to be improving. Don't you worry. Everything's going to be okay, to give you the basic synopsis of what he said. So he doubled down. He doubled down again, saying this team's going to be better. I've been in a rage. I've been in a rage since then. I'm done.
Curry, your reaction.
Yeah, Breslow has to be one of the dumbest smart guys in all of baseball right now, man. Now, I will be optimistic, and I want to see what we do at the deadline. Now, I'm starting to lean towards we're selling. I think Chapman will be gone. I think we will see a Bregman extension. I think we will see that in the coming weeks. I think it will be, if he doesn't do that before the end of the season, he's gone. I think, it's just going to be John Henry's going to come in. John Henry at the beginning of that season had that cigar picture, which got everybody amped up. And he put his face on this again. And now look how dumb it's making him look. John Henry doesn't seem like the type who's like, when he was away, okay, he didn't care. But as soon as he put his face on this season, I think he cares more now, but he cares about how it makes him look. And honestly, I'm to the point where get rid of Kennedy, get rid of Breslow. But I also want to be optimistic. I want to see what they do if you get a power bat. If you bring in somebody, a 30 home run guy, and then you also, get a couple more elite bullpen arms, okay, maybe let's see where this goes. But if you get nothing and you just sell, you might as well be packing your bags out of Boston.
Curry, my concern is that the Red Sox are going to Red Sox you again, and they're going to come at the deadline, and they're going to do little to jack squat. And they're going to say to you and every fan out there that we've got the best guy coming back that we could ever even try to get after the deadline in Alex Bregman. We are going to get a great bullpen piece in Justin Slayton, and we are going to get another left-handed hitter in Masataka Yoshida. And that's going to be your trade deadline, acquisitions. And that's what they're going to do. And they're going to spin it again like they've had done for the last 4 or 5 seasons.
I don't want to Mike Felger and Tony Maz this and just shake my head and be the Maz right now and say, you know what, Mike? Yep, I agree. But I have to say,
you could be in the asshole chair.
I'm here it is. I have 2 takes on it. Number one, I completely agree with you, Jim. This is exactly what they're going to do. But they're also going to spice it up and say that Jordan Hicks is coming. He's coming, folks. Watch out. Here he comes. No, yeah. And as my dog goes and looks out the window, hoping and praying for another acquisition to happen for the Sox, that's what's going to happen. Plain and simple. They're not going to go out and get anything huge. I mean, don't you remember watching this Netflix special when Breslow had to throw the media out when he was all hot and bothered about getting our wonderful catcher from the Blue Jays during the last trade deadline? I got a big deal for Danny Jansen's coming. I got to throw you all out. That's what he did. It's a joke. Now, Curry, I like you, so I don't want to go too harsh on your take here. I actually would be furious if the Red Sox went out in the next week and extended Bregman. I need to see something here. I need to see that he is coming back healthy. I'm not going to open up my wallet right now because it's an unknown. Is this injury going to rehash? Is something going to happen again with him? I love what I've seen so far. Do not get me wrong. I am a big Bregman guy. He's an identity piece. He's a leader. He gives me Pedroia vibes. Not as an asshole Pedroia, but much more of a team leader type. I want that type of player, but I'm a little nervous and I'm a little hesitant as he's at age 32 right now. If I'm going to invest here for 4, 5, 6 years, if sucker Scott Boras, his agent, wants to hash out a deal here. And let's make sure we're clear on this. The only reason these extension talks have come up is because Scott Boras knows how to play the Red Sox hand. He knows how desperate they are right now. Hey, John, we know you don't have Devers anymore. You just took that $300+ million off your tab. Come and sign Bregman now. So it's like low-hanging fruit. That's what he's trying to go after here on establishing some sort of a long-term thing. My client absolutely will want to sign here, loves everything about Boston because he's looking out for, number one, his wallet, and Scott Boras. That's what it is. So I'd be more pessimistic on that. I got to see something more. If he gives a month and things are rolling and he's looking good and there's no hesitation on it, then 100% get me into something that's going to lock him up long term, because I want him to be a building piece. I do.
I think the thing about Alex Bregman and the whole Scott Boras situation, Scott Boras obviously is a very intelligent man, and he knows how to run his clients very, very well. Except, the last couple of years, he's had a little bit of some snafus with some guys. But the bottom line here is that the Red Sox really hurt their position of strength by moving Devers, because to your point, Nick, they, Scott Boras realizes and Alex Bregman realizes that they've got the Red Sox by the stones, and they are now in the driver's seat. So I don't think we're going to see
driving the clown car.
Yep. I don't think
circus is in town.
I think you may actually see a Bregman extension. I really do. But I don't think it's going to happen till the offseason. There is a 5-day window, I believe, that players can opt out. And I would truly believe that during that period before those 5 days are up is when you would see something extend. Because at that point, Bregman would have 280. I just don't know. I don't know if he's going to get $40 million on the open market anywhere else. But it could be the length. And so if it winds up being an average annual value of 35, but he's got a 6-year deal or a 5-year deal, he's gone. So the Red Sox have to look at the fact that they're going to have to add probably 3 years to that deal, and probably somewhere in that 175 market is what I'm thinking. But, to Nick's point as well, I would like to see how it goes. I mean, truthfully, there's no urgency right now for the Red Sox to make that commitment. They do have control of the player, and they'll have control of the player for a couple days after the season's over, in which they can go ahead and, rip up that current deal before he opts out. So let's see how the season finishes out, and then look at those numbers.
Jim,
what's that thing you like to say, Jim? The most Red Sox thing to do? And the most Red Sox thing to do would be they extend Alex Bregman near the trade deadline and say, we got a piece right there for long term, because they know they're not going to do jack shit.
I rule out nothing with the Red Sox.
Yeah, that's how it is. Are you in the same predicament, Jim? I was going to say, with the whole trade deadline, where again, it's what are they going to do? I'm in the camp where I still don't feel like they're going to do anything player wise. I think they'll just do their all the injured guys who were there. They're coming back. That's your move. I just don't see a splash. I just don't.
No, I don't either. And like I was mentioning before, they're going to pull the old Red Sox on you, and they're going to say, we've got Bregman, we've got Yoshida, we've got Slayton, we've got all these guys coming back. What concerns me is that they're going to do what they've done the last few years, was do this hybrid bull crap where they actually trade a few guys and bring in somebody. And I think there's still a very good opportunity and chance that they move on from someone like Chapman, to Curry's point, and they move on from Duran, because both of those guys will get you something of value. Even though Duran's having more of an off year, I think there's a team out there that's going to say, hey, you know what? We could use a spark plug at the top of our lineup. And I think Duran, being as, gritty as he is, I think he would take that as motivation and really go far with it. As far as Chapman's concerned, at 37, he's having one of the best seasons of his career. Just look up the numbers. And I know he was younger at the time that he got moved to the Cubs, but the Yankees got Gleyber Torres in that deal, who was going to be a really good superstar. It just didn't work out for him well, in New York. But if you can get somebody with that kind of, upside, I would move Chapman, and I think the Red Sox would too, and Slayton would be your closer, and that's how the Red Sox will spin it.
See, you look at the pitching lab, and everybody else got worse, but somehow, Chapman found the fountain of youth through Andrew Bailey and is just phenomenal this year. And I hated Chapman when he was a Yankee. Still kind of don't like him, even though he's a Red Sox. But I think the value, like, if you're going to sell and you give it to Chapman and you get some good, but like high-end talent in return, good upside, cool. But then don't come out and say, we're still going to make the playoffs. At that point, you pretty much sold. Just be honest. We'll be pissed, and we'll.
Love Red Sox Digest? And stop freeloading and subscribe already. Free subscribers get recaps, rants, and the occasional emotional breakdown, just like Craig Breslow with the trade deadline. Upgrade to a paid subscription and unlock the full archive. Subscriber-only game breakdowns, behind-the-scenes audio rants, exclusive mailbag Q&As, plus live chat and post-game streams where we scream into the void together. And if you're a true sicko, become a founding member and we'll put you on the podcast. That's right, a guest appearance on Red Sox Digest. Hit subscribe. It's cheaper than Fenway beer and way more satisfying.
Cuss you out. But in the end, we'll be like, you know what? At least he was honest with us instead of all this bullshit he's been speaking all year.
Curry, they can't be honest with the fans. It's not in their DNA to be honest with the fans. They haven't been able to do that in the longest time. They constantly sell you on this idea that they're the smartest people in the room, and they're not. Every idea and thing that they're doing over the last 7 years has been a train wreck. And again, the outlier being 21, but the reality is they're right around 500. They are the most mid team over the last 6 years than you could possibly imagine in Major League Baseball. And everything that they try to do, it doesn't seem to be taking them into the next level. They want to spend on free agency. They don't want to spend on free agency. They don't want to sign pitchers over 30. They'll sign a pitcher over 30. They'll not do a long-term deal. They'll do all these kind of deals with opt-outs. Now let's switch all that around. Let's go ahead and sign our young guys for, these contracts. And then hopefully, we get them for undervalue like Rafaela and Campbell and so forth. And now Campbell's in the minor leagues. So, there's just not one thing that they do right except screw up.
I think that they put too much on Campbell, and I think that's what hurt him. I think if they would have just kept him at second base and not kept him, you're going to play center field. We want you to play first base. We want you to keep going. That's what killed him. I think if they had just kept him at second base, I think he would still be potential rookie of the year. But then they start, doing stupid crap, and I just don't get it. I don't get that. I can't be optimistic about what they did to Campbell. And now you look at their Meyer, outstanding defense, and they put him at second base. And then some of the stuff, like Sogard starting at third base today, made no sense. I get it. Meyer had a unfortunate thing happen, but some of the lineup.
Do we know what happened with Meyer? Did he have a death in the family, or?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. There's a death in the family.
Yeah. Okay. We got a comment. I'll see if we can put this up on here. This is from Eric on Twitter or X, and he said, they'll trade Chapman. They shouldn't be major buyers. This team isn't close to being a contender. What are your reactions? Nick, you first.
They aren't a contender. Plain up. They're not. I don't want to trade Chapman because he's one of the bright spots of the team. So it'll be hard to part. It'd be a matter of what you can get. Again, 37 years old. I don't know if there's teams out there that are that desperate, but if there is, I guess you have to entertain it. I don't love it because right now, truthfully, Aroldis Chapman is the best guy that they've had in the ninth inning since Koji Uehara. I will tell you that straight up right now. And yes, that does put Kenley Jensen and Craig Kimbrell. I have more faith in right now Aroldis Chapman than I did with those other two bozos.
If they trade Chapman, that means Bregman coming back, Yoshida coming back. They're still on a downward spiral. So yeah, at that point, you're not a contender. You're selling. I want to hold off on but there's still a chance that Bregman, Yoshida come back and they start making that run, and they still trade Chapman, because they could get good value for him that could potentially help the bullpen. If you give me two solid arms for one solid arm, that's a deal. But it all comes down to what happens with Bregman, Yoshida, what the lineup's going to look like in 2 weeks. When they come back, I think they said mid-July is when they're expecting Bregman. So that gives you about 2 weeks, roughly, 10 to 12 games. Let's see what they do in that time frame. And then if they suck, yeah, no, it's a big sell. And if they don't suck, Chapman can still be a good piece to get them some good value to help the team make a push.
I want to talk just a couple more minutes about today's game. And, one of the things that I've said many a time is that when you have a team full of platoon players that are playing every single day, there's going to come a point where they become exposed. And so your number 2 hitter, who wasn't on your team in the beginning of the season, Abraham Toro, was now 0 for 4 tonight. Trevor Story, 0 for 3. David Hamilton, 0 for 1. Connor Wong is now 0 for 24 with runners in scoring position and now has 9 strikeouts. And Nick Sogard was 0 for 3. Obviously, this is a really big issue because you can't keep putting these guys out here day in and day out and expect them to all of a sudden be all-star performers. And I think it's going to come to a point where they are going to wear thin. And if this trend continues, I think you're going to see a lot more low-scoring games, and runs scored from the Red Sox are going to continue to diminish. Nick?
I mean, you said it right there. I mean, top to bottom, this is one of the worst lineups in baseball. It is. Let's be honest here. I don't have hope. I'm sorry. I don't. This team put together right now in terms of development, who they're sending out there on a day-by-day, night-by-night basis, it's not good. It's not. Even with Bregman there, it's still, you don't. If I was a fan, first of all, why am I going to Fenway Park again? Why am I going to see the team? Is it because you love baseball? If you love baseball, go to Worcester. If you love baseball, go to Portland. They care. They actually have spark. They want to prove something. I just don't get it. If you're a fan, you're sitting there, you're singing Sweet Caroline in the 8th inning, down 9-0. What are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, in the month of June, Abraham Toro, 21 hits and 75 at-bats, 13 strikeouts. Over the last 7 days, 4 hits and 18 at-bats. So, it's clear that he's starting to get exposed. And I think you're going to see that continue to diminish as the season goes along. Nate Eaton, last
he
7
tonight.
Yeah, Nate Eaton, he got a double play. Last 7 games, 2 hits, 5 at bats, 3 strikeouts. Again, it's too many of these guys. It's okay to, filter in a Romy Gonzalez, twice a week. That's fine, but you should have starters at each one of your positions. And it's just unfortunate that the Red Sox don't. And they have to carry guys that have up and down weeks, like Rafaela, who will get hot and then cool off. People like Navarez, who I have a really concern that he's going to start showing some wear and tear too, because let's face it, not only is it from the offensive side of the ball, but, being a catcher, and he's still a rookie. I think a lot of people forget that he's a rookie here, and he's going to start showing signs of wear and tear and exposure, which means that if they don't do anything about addressing the catcher situation, which I have a feeling that they won't, you're going to see more of Connor Wong. And the more you see of Connor Wong, the more that's going to go wrong. Bad joke. I'll see myself.
I'm sorry. We froze a little bit on the screen. I like it.
I'll see myself out.
But Jim, there's yes, catching is getting exposed. But the honest truth here, everything's exposed right now. Everything. Your first base is a train wreck. Second base, they don't know how to field a ground ball. Shortstop, Trevor Story. You feeling good about that one? Third base. Tonight, in the carousel roulette game, is Nick Sogar playing there. Duran, horrible season. Sorry, horrible. If he gets mad about it on this pod, sorry. You're not good. Rafaela, too streaky for me. Wilyer Abreu, swings for the fence all the time. DH, that's your rotating cast of whoever else isn't in the lineup. They don't have anything at any position. Nothing.
I said this the other night. The Red Sox, if you look at the last 4 championships, and I always talk about the things that are congruent. But the one thing that you'll notice, in 2004, your DH was David Ortiz. In 2007, your DH was David Ortiz. In 2013, your DH was a guy by the name of David Ortiz. And in 2018, you had JD Martinez that had basically an MVP season. And all 4 years, the common denominator was you had a bona fide DH. Kind of like what you were trying to do this year with Rafael Devers before you traded him for, basically a box of Quaker Oats. So it'll be interesting to see where this goes from here. Curry, your reactions.
We didn't even get a whole box of Quaker Oats.
We did it. They were stale.
We got like a piece.
Probably not. It was
They're out of date.
Like Dave said in our in our chat. He says we traded him for a Happy Meal.
They got a stale box of saltines is what they got.
Yeah. And I have, if anybody has any faith in Jordan Hicks, I think, you got to be off your rocker to
Jim, hold it. He threw 100 miles an hour tonight in Worcester.
Yeah. Worcester. Yeah. Well, again, you're facing AAA 4A batters. So, of course, if you should do well there. If you can't do well in AAA, don't expect that you're going to do well in the major leagues. So, I mean,
that's a given.
But that's going to be another spin that they're probably going to give Nick, is they're going to say, listen, we traded Chapman because we're going to make Slayton our closer, and we're going to have Hicks, and Garrett Whitlock, setting him up. So that's what you're going to be told, and that's what we're going to have to live with it while we watch, this, circle the drain for August, September, and a couple games in October. Moving right along, we've got two more games.
Fans. Gotta get it.
Yep. This broadcast brought to you by Pepto-Bismol.
Brought to you by our sponsor,
Pepto-Bismol.
The 5 symptom reliefs of the Boston Red Sox: nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, and you guessed it,
diarrhea. If you're sliding in the third,
diarrhea of the mouth.
If you're sliding in the third, 2 more games.
Comes in pill form and liquid form. All right,
and maybe injectable. 2 more games against the Toronto Blue Jays. Giolito against Bassett, Buehler against Lohr. I know how I'm going. This is a 3-game sweep. Curry, start off with you.
I'm going to say it's going to be, we'll go 1-2. I think Giolito, he's looking good. Until his last couple starts, he's looked pretty good. And I'm going to stick that with his hot hand. And then Buehler, I think he's done. I think he's done.
Nick?
You got no chance. No chance. I just looked at the lineup for Toronto, and I was like, wow, tonight, George Springer, your numbers look good. Look at Vlad Guerrero, that big monster in your lineup. Boy, that looks nice too. And then I look at Nick Sogar and Abraham Toro and all the rest. They aren't going to win 1 game in this series. You're going to see they'll be lucky to score 3 runs the rest of the weekend. Lucky.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of faith. I said to myself, if they could somehow find a way to win tonight's game, maybe they go 1-2. Maybe they could find a way to go 2-1. With this loss tonight and how much of a debacle it was, Chris Bassett owns the Red Sox. Okay, he has a lifetime membership card in his wallet. So he's going to go ahead and just shove it down your throat. And I'll pick him over Giolito, 8 days a week. Yep. I hope you're right, Curry, but I don't have a lot of faith in that. I just don't have a lot of faith. And it's really because of that. He could have a really good pitching performance, but the Red Sox are not going to score, and that's going to be the issue.
Curry didn't like our takes.
I think we lost him.
Curry ran away. He wasn't happy with us. The biggest thing here is just trying to figure out how they get themselves into a better path. And Jim and I have talked about this before on some of the changes that we feel. I just think the only way this direction of this team is going to change is if you make some bold moves. One of the boldest moves to me to improve this lineup, you got to get rid of the hitting approach, the launch angle, Pete Fatsy. It's got to go. It's just got to go. It doesn't work. It's not helping this organization. It's not helping this team. They got to change the philosophy. As hard-headed and stubborn as this organization is, go look yourselves in the mirror and go say, hey, this is not working. We're done. We're moving in a different direction. I just don't think they're going to do it. We got to start fresh. I hope he is, Curry. I hope he is in the exact same predicament, just like you're saying, that he's fed up. He's done with losing. I find it hard to believe it right now because I still think right now John Henry looks at the Red Sox as his cash cow. He just cares about it being profitable and making money and all that. I don't know if he's going to actually make a change. I want to be optimistic, too, that as the owner, he starts making the big decisions and does it right. I love the Theo idea. I just personally think Theo's been there, done that with organizations. I think Theo's time here is going to be limited because I think Theo is eyeing to be the next commissioner of Major League Baseball. I think that's where Theo is likely to go if the opportunity arises when this whole new CBA, I think it's in a year or two, comes about. Because I do think Rob Manfred's time is limited right now. Well, anyways, that's going to wrap up our Red Sox Digest show hosted by Jim and I tonight. We want to thank Curry for joining us here for an awesome show. We hope for the best, obviously, with this team, and we will talk more about it on our next pod. So stay tuned. We will see you all soon. Have a great weekend, everybody.